I woke up to the sound of shattering glass, except it wasn't my windows, and honestly, that would have been easier to fix. I bolted outside, slippers flapping, heart racing, only to find Karen. Yeah, that Karen, standing on my front lawn with a hammer in her hand, and the kind of look you usually only see on people who've decided the rules never applied to them in the first place. At her feet, my satellite dish, busted to pieces, wires dangling like veins. She actually smiled. That ugly eyesore is gone. You're welcome. Like she'd just solved a neighborhood crisis, not committed a federal crime before breakfast. Now, here's the thing. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill TV satellite. This dish was government-issued, part of a contract I got roped into because of my communications background. Most days, it sat there silent, part of an emergency grid, invisible to everyone but the people who knew what to look for. Karen? She only saw something that clashed with her HOA's idea of aesthetic excellence. And when she smashed it, she didn't just break plastic and metal. She took out a direct line to the Department of Homeland Security over a little neighborhood turf war. I didn't yell, didn't threaten. I just stood there and let the silence make her uncomfortable. She mistook it for weakness, of course. People like her always do. You'll thank me later, she said, wiping her hands. The HOA's been talking about this for months, and since you ignored our letters, I took care of it myself. My mouth curled into a smile, because what she didn't know was that the instant she swung that hammer, two things happened. First, the dish triggered an alert on the emergency grid. Second, my cameras, my own, not the HOA's, caught every second in high def. Yeah, I was ready. Karen tried to regain control, rambling about property values and bylaws, until I finally told her. That wasn't just a dish. That was a federal receiver. For half a second, she hesitated, but entitlement is a stubborn thing. She said, don't try to scare me with your stories. I'll explain it to the board. I could have laughed watching her dig her own grave. She genuinely thought this was just another one of her power moves. She stormed off, muttering about sending me a bill for the cleanup, and that's when my phone buzzed. A restricted number, of course. This is the Emergency Communications Office. We've detected a disruption at your site. Confirm status. I looked out the window at Karen, still pacing around like she'd won. Status. I replied. Civilian with a hammer thought she outranked the federal government. There was a pause. Then, we'll be sending someone. Stay on site. And right then, I knew Karen's bad morning was about to get biblical. By the time the black SUV pulled up, Karen had already marched over twice. Once to scold me for ignoring HOA bylaws, and again to take photos of the hazard she'd so bravely removed. She was narrating loudly for her imaginary audience. As president of the HOA, I had to do it myself. No one was listening, except for maybe a few nosy neighbors peeking through their blinds. Two guys in dark suits stepped out. They didn't waste time on Karen, who tried chirping something about HOA compliance. The taller one just glanced at her and kept walking. Mr. Hale? I nodded. Status unchanged. Civilian destroyed the receiver at 0800. Karen's head snapped up. Excuse me? I'm the HOA president. One agent pulled out a tablet. You confirming she did it? Got it on 3 cameras. You want the footage now or after you inspect? Karen's voice pitched up. No, this is being blown out of proportion. It was just a dish. The tall agent turned. Ma'am, that was a federally commissioned receiver. What you did is destruction of government property under Title 18. She looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. She tried to argue, said the sticker was fake, that you can buy those online, whatever, but one agent was already scanning the wreckage. It beeped. Registered. Active. Now inoperable. Karen went pale. Wait. You can't expect me to know. The taller agent didn't blink. Name. She balked, then tried to lawyer up, but when you're up against federal agents, your HOA title, and a folder full of violation letters don't count for much. Neighbors were peeking out, pretending to water lawns, some with phones in hand. Karen's audience wasn't clapping. She tried to play the victim, painting me as a cranky homeowner. He thinks the rules don't apply to him. But the truth was, she'd just torn a hole in a system that didn't care about her bylaws. And this time, the consequences were a little steeper than grass length. The agents led her away to ask questions. Karen tossed a last desperate barb at me, blaming me for not complying with the HOA. I called after her. Don't worry, Karen. I'll send you the footage for your lawyer in 4K. One agent coughed, suspiciously close to a laugh. By noon, the whole block was buzzing. Karen's interview with the agents took nearly 2 hours. When she finally emerged, she looked like a wilted daisy, hair frizzed, cheeks splotchy, marching across her lawn with a kind of brittle dignity. Neighbors were out in force now, walking dogs, fetching mail, or just straight up sitting on their porches, enjoying the show. This was the lady who'd policed mailbox colors and grass height for years, and now, here she was, caught, exposed, and struggling. She cornered me, tried to get me to call off the feds. I just shrugged. Karen, you dragged everyone into this the moment you smashed a federally protected dish in broad daylight. She snapped at me to keep my voice down, threatened that the HOA won't stand behind you if you keep acting like this. I told her, I don't need the HOA to stand behind me. You might, though? For the first time, she didn't have a comeback that mattered. The board met that afternoon. Full house, everyone whispering, some with snacks. This time, Karen's usual speech didn't work. Greg, the quiet guy who only ever talked landscaping, piped up. Did you really destroy government property? Karen insisted it was just non-compliant equipment. But someone's niece worked for county emergency services, and the truth spilled out. These dishes are for disaster alerts. Margaret, her old ally, pointed out, if this is federal, the HOA's liable, too. Karen went sheet white. No, this was me, not the board. Margaret just said, then you abused your position. The room turned, and for once, Karen was the one outnumbered. She stormed out. They didn't even chase her. Someone muttered, we should vote. I left before they decided, but the writing was on the wall. That evening, Karen tried one last time, cornered me, voice trembling, desperate. You don't know what this will do to me. My reputation, my standing, gone. I told her it wasn't about the dish, but about what she did and what was caught on camera. She promised lawsuits, vengeance, whatever. I just told her, you'll do nothing but wait for the fallout. And the longer you pretend you're in control, the harder it's going to hit. This time, she didn't argue. By morning it was official. Greg came by to tell me, breathless, she's out. Voted off, unanimous. After 23 years, Karen's done. I told him to be careful. Karen doesn't accept done. She goes for revenge. Sure enough, she spent the next day stalking the street with a clipboard, trying to rally support. But no one cared. The spell was broken. That night, we watched the footage on my garage. Neighbors laughing for the first time in years. Karen's reign ended not with a bang, but with a whimper, a hammer swing caught on camera, and a whole community finally exhaling. The long game always wins. So, tell me, after all that, do you think justice was served? Ever dealt with a Karen like that in your neighborhood? Drop your wildest HOA stories below. I'll be here, reading every single one.